Ladies and gentlemen, the private sector is also integrated into all that's happening where digital transformation is concerned in Trinidad and Tobago. And this morning, we are fortunate to have Anna Leon, Partner, Technology Strategy and Digital Transformation from KPMG Canada. Anna is a partner in KPMG's Management Consulting, Tech Advisory and Digital Strategy practice in Canada. With over 20 years of experience, she has advised government leaders worldwide, specializing in digital government solutions and tech transformation for public sector organizations. Anna joined KPMG in Canada in 2021. As a key member of the organization's Global Council for Government Digital Customer Experience, she collaborates with G8 countries to develop global qualifications, assets, and credentials, driving innovative solutions that empower clients worldwide. In addition, Anna serves as the chair of Tech Nation, a premier Canadian organization that unites the technology sector, government, and communities to foster economic growth and collaborative solutions tailored for citizens' needs. Outside of her professional commitments, Anna is passionate about giving back to the community, particularly through her involvement as a board member with the Red Door Family Shelter. She believes in supporting families in crisis, and she dedicates her time to initiatives that help provide safe housing, essential resources, and pathways to stability for those in need. This morning, she's in Port of Spain, and she will deliver the keynote address on a systemic approach to digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anna Leon.
Bio introduction. Thank you for that. Good morning, everyone. I am so grateful to be here. I am truly appreciative of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, to the Minister of Digital Transformation, and to my fellow colleagues in the KPMG CARICOM office. I have a lot of Trinidadian Canadian friends back home, and they thought I was crazy to come during a national state of emergency. And I told them, it's a lot more dangerous to stay during a polar vortex when you're dealing with minus 30 degrees Celsius. So I thought, you know what, I'll come here for some beautiful Trinidadian culture and weather. And so I'm truly grateful for the hospitality and for having me here today. A lot of the work that I do is working with government leaders, such as many of you here in this room, to talk about some of the biggest challenges that you face. And very incredible how many things we have in common as citizens around the world. When COVID happened, that was one of the common denominators that every single human being in the world faced. We are seeing the advent of innovation. We're seeing the technology and AI impact everyone's process and the day-to-day lives. And so when I work with our government leaders in G8 countries around the Global Council at KPMG, that is one of the things that we do. We look at the commonalities and the solutions that meet the needs of every single citizen around. Do you know that everyone in the world wants to go from point A to point B in a safe manner? That's a common issue. And so transportation file that every government has is one of those things that we look at. How do we innovate? How do we replicate the solutions that some of these governments are achieving? And how do we bring that to bear with the discussions that we have around the world? So I wanted to share a few trends that I thought would be relevant to today's conversation. KPMG Canada works with our global offices around the world to conduct a survey. We interview over 2,400 or so CIOs and CEOs to talk about what their trajectory is in digital transformation. What is their approach? And it was very interesting to see that there were a lot of commonalities and a lot of conversations around the importance of taking a very systemic approach to transformation. The first thing that we talk about and what we've seen is that technology and innovation is happening at a much more accelerated manner than ever before. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you could invest in innovation or technology that could be the same status quo for 15, 20 years, but now it is no longer the case. And so we're seeing a lot more change happening in a much more rapid manner. The second thing that we also notice is that the role of the IT manager is changing. You know, a lot of the CIOs have been seen, the office of the CIO is seen as teams that are, you know, maintaining systems, but now they're looked upon as digital transformation leaders to really help lead and bring that thought leadership for their teams to move into that digital era. So they are definitely looked upon to ensure that there's capabilities and, you know, teams and modernization strategies that have to be rolled out. And the third thing around public sector is that when we have a lot of innovation and transformation being rolled out, it is really impacting government's ability to keep pace with that change. I was talking to a CIO the other day, and he was sharing how when cloud came into the horizon, you know, Government of Canada, for example, had a very hard time adopting cloud because that had an impact in their procurement strategy. They needed to establish new policies. They needed to establish new IT security framework. And it had a ripple effect around how change was adopted in that particular government. And when we take a look at all of these different innovations that are happening, we do see that not just government, organizations in general are having a very hard time keeping pace because it is really challenging the way that our organizations are structured, the way that we work together. And so there's a lot of conversations happening around how do we engage together? How do we engage the community? How do we adopt the best practices from other regions as well? The other element that we talk about in our KPMG headline is around why, the reasons why. Why should we change? Why should we adopt a new way of working? The first reason is because complex problems require collective solutions. A lot of governments, you know, a lot of governments face multifaceted challenges, such as public health crisis. We see systemic challenges with social inequality. We're impacted by climate change, and a lot of cybersecurity threats that Minister Young talked about as well. These issues do not happen in isolation. They cut across various sectors, they cut across various industries, and so collaborative approaches allow government to tap into the wealth of experience, to tap into the wealth of resources and expertise, and to foster these innovative solutions that are desperately needed, that cannot happen in silos. The second reason is government needs to tap into efficiency and resource utilization. Many of our governments that I talk to have multiple different departments. And there are many common challenges, many common needs that these departments have. And the challenge that we're beginning to see is that as we are adopting software as a service, for example, as we are adopting innovation, we're seeing a lot of pockets of siloed decision-making where the Ministry of Health, for example, this particular government, the Ministry of Health needed a case management system. And so they went out to market to procure a CRM tool. The Ministry of Justice needed a case management system to handle all of their cases, and so they went out to market virtually within the same month for a CRM platform. The Ministry of Health selected Salesforce, and the Ministry of Justice selected Microsoft Dynamics. And you have these two separate investments, two separate teams being spun up, two implementations. And you can almost see that this could be a repeat of the same challenges that will happen if we don't collaborate, if we don't understand the holistic strategy, the go-forward model. You know, and the other challenge too is, why should any government or any organization spin up 14 teams, buy 14 different tools to solve 14 problems when you can collaborate, bring together your best, solve the problem once, and then apply it 14 times? And so that is one of the efforts that we're beginning to see, but that requires a lot of conversation, that requires effort, that requires intent, that requires conversations exactly like today to bring the community together, to bring all the stakeholders together to talk about the vision. The third reason for needing to change the way that we work is around adapting to the technology changes that we're seeing in the world. I sit on the board of Tech Nation, which has been around for 30 years. And this organization brings together all the members of industry. You have Microsoft, you have Google, you have almost virtually every representative of industry at this table. And we bring together government leaders and we facilitate conversations on matters that are important to our citizens. And we co-create, we solution, we have these different sessions to discuss some of these challenges. And our clients, our government clients, love it because, and I'm sure many of you know the vendors that call you, hey, Minister Backus, can I get a coffee with you? I'd like to know your vision, right? Minister Young, would you like to go for lunch? So it's impossible to be in 30 different places at the same time. But wouldn't it be great if you had a forum like this where the industry is here together and you're able to share your vision and the outlook for the next 3 to 5 years? So that's exactly what we do. And I do think that there's a real need for that kind of conversation to take place around the world. The fourth and final reason for change is to really be responsive to your citizens' needs. I know many of you have talked about the need for better healthcare, better education, but there are micro nuances to all of those as well. So you as individuals here in this room have a very certain way of expecting government services. You have a very certain expectation of how to access government services. But we have a new generation coming up, and their expectation might be completely different than yours. And I'll give you an example. I have a 12-year-old daughter who, her father and I asked Ava what she wanted for her birthday. And she said that she wanted this outfit in Roblox. How many of you have kids that play Roblox? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. It's a video game, virtual avatar. And so my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, whew, we dodged a bullet because we thought she's gonna ask for an iPhone or an iPad or a computer. It's like, oh, she just wants a digital little, QR code and two Trinidadian dollars and we're good to go. And when she showed us the avatar that she wanted to buy, we did not realize that these things go for $1,000 US, okay? And we're like, there is no way, Ava, we're gonna buy this for you, no way. Like, I grew up in an immigrant family. We grew up with nothing. We were grateful for shoes, right? And my husband my husband's family's from South America, and so he grew up as an immigrant child as well. So we were very thankful to have the clothes on our back. So there's no way I'm gonna throw my money at this digital, nonsense. So I said, Ava, why don't I take you to the store? I'll take you to a really nice mall. We'll buy, we'll go on a little shopping spree. I'll buy you an outfit for school. And no matter how much convincing we tried to do, she refused. She would not have it. She would not entertain. And it dawned on me that her value system was very different than mine. She did not care about her physical persona. She cared more about her digital persona. She cared more about who her identity was in this digital community with her friends that she interacts with. in the community that she's created in the world of Roblox, and she wanted to have the outfit that she knew was super, super cool. When we as government leaders are thinking about the future, we need to think about what are those nuances or micro needs that are going to come out of this generation that is going to have very, very different expectations. They want government to be personal. They want government to know and be intuitive. If I update you on my new driver's license, I shouldn't have to tell every single agency that I got a new driver's license. If I have updated you that I got married, that should be updated once. And so the whole concept of telling me once and ensuring that vital events with government and citizens is all interconnected may seem like a dream, but there are a lot of governments that are working their way to achieving that. But that takes coordination, that takes consolidation of data, that takes a data strategy, that takes policy. That also, with innovation comes bad actors, and so cybersecurity becomes a very real issue. So in all of this, when we look at governments like Trinidad and Tobago and Canada and the UK and Australia, the Commonwealth, we have the parliamentary system, we're very, very used to that decentralized, fragmented, federated model. And when you think about the organizational structures that many of us are used to working within, think about how and when those organizational structures were established. They were probably established 20 to 30 years ago. It worked then, but we need to ask ourselves, does our way of working now make sense? And I love the fact that the Trinidad and Tobago government have established a Ministry of Digital Transformation. I think you are one of the very early adopters of making this move, and I want to congratulate you and your team for being such forward-thinking government, that you have what it takes, you have the commitment, and there's no reason why this community here cannot adopt that advancement. And so I really, I'm grateful for this opportunity here. So what does it take? The concept of agile is not new. Many of you know the word agile, small a, agile. Some of you who are in software development understand agile software development methodology. So I want to just spend a few seconds just providing the groundwork, because it's going to help feed into the point that I want to drive. Agile software came about because back then, before agile software development, a lot of the processes were very waterfall. You had a team developing the front end, and everyone else had to wait for that to be done. And then it got handed over to the folks that are doing the back end. And then once everything was done, months have passed, and you share the final product to your client, and the client says, it's not really meeting my needs. And so you have to scrap all that effort and then start from scratch again. So the agile software development was designed to co-create with a group of developers that can build in iterative fashion. You're building small features, making sure, testing it, asking the user to check in on the software features that you're developing, to make sure that there's a feedback loop. And as you progress, you start to build and build and build. And so it's iterative, it's collaborative, you work together as teams, you're working together as an integrated unit. The concept of agile is not new in IT. So a lot of IT projects are very much hybrid or waterfall or agile. But the point that I want to drive today is the concept of agile has to be applied to every facet of government. It's not good enough anymore to have a technology team committed to agile. You need every single part of your government to work in conjunction, to work collaboratively. Think about cloud, the client conversation that I had about adopting cloud. When you think about generative AI is impacting governments in a big way because it has implications on policy, Do you have the right policy to adopt AI in your environment for your citizens? Do you have the right cybersecurity strategy? Do you have the right governance structure? Oh, by the way, can you procure it? Do you know how to procure AI? Do you have the right contract language in place to manage your vendors around AI? So there's so many nuances that come with innovation. And so the concept of agile is really about working collectively across the organization, not just government, any organization, to work together to develop and foster a way to adopt change. And this is so critically important. You know, the other thing that agile development is also great for is asking questions, right? Asking the status quo. Does this feature make sense? If I put the blue box in that left corner, is that the right place to put it, and is that the right color, right? So you're asking questions. And I think the challenge that a lot of us have in the day-to-day is that we don't ask ourselves enough questions. I remember early in my career, I was working with a government client, and he was sharing this story about how, you know, every day at 5 p.m., the whole office would reboot their systems. And there was an intern that came in and said, well, why do you reboot your systems every day at 5 o'clock? Is it like a part of a bigger IT strategy? And the IT manager said, no, it's, he chuckled and he said, well, you know, we realized that at around 5 o'clock, all of our systems froze. And so we decided to just reboot it. And that seems to do the trick. And so that's what we do now. So this went on for days, which led to weeks, which led to months, and everyone just rebooted their computers at 5 o'clock without even blinking an eye. And one fateful day, the intern walked into the server room and noticed that the janitor was unplugging the power cord to plug in his vacuum, because that was the only power outlet that worked. And he effectively shut down the data center in that room, which caused, you know, all of the computers to freeze. And that's exactly what happened. It's a funny analogy, but it just goes to show that sometimes we do need to ask questions around, why are we doing it this way? Is it because it's been done that way and no one really asks questions, or is it the sensible thing to do? Questioning established norms is one of the key things that we have to do. It might be right today. The decision that you make today will be right today, but is it going to be right tomorrow? I'm sure the car manufacturers, when they developed the window knob, right, to roll down the windows, it made a lot of sense. It worked then, but is that the most efficient way, right? So then they wanted to innovate, they wanted to transform. And so they developed the concept of power steering and power windows and power locks, which is great. But now it's not transformative. That's table stakes. Can you imagine buying a car that didn't have any of those things? You'd be outraged, right? But what about tomorrow? You know, why can't it be voice activated, right? So there's a lot of things that might be normal today that might make sense today, but our job in transformation is to ask questions, because you are no longer transforming if you are no longer changing. Transformation today is going to be table stakes tomorrow. So the Minister of Transformation, Digital Transformation, you have your work cut out. You're not just in the incubation stage, you're going to be running and running and running. I want to just lead a couple of examples of what other governments have done around the world when they brought their government together. Not just government with industry and academia, but we're talking about internal government. There's so many different stakeholders, so many different departments that have to work together. So Ministry of Seoul, Korea, the mayor actually came to visit us in Canada. I had an opportunity to spend time with them along with other ministers. And it was fascinating to hear about the challenges that they faced. A lot of challenges were very, very similar to what many governments are facing, is siloed departments, citizens having to call multiple different numbers to access very different government services. And so Seoul brought together their departments, academia, the tech industry, and they co-created on a metaverse for their city. And so in 2022, they were able to establish Metaverse Seoul, which is a virtual government that offers 15 different services in the metaverse. So you as a citizen of Seoul can access government in your digital avatar, wearing your $1,000 digital outfit, accessing government services. You can go and visit the Seoul Library and have an avatar there read a book for you. It's fascinating what they've done, and they have achieved over 1 million visitors accessing 15 different services, and that number continues to grow. The second example that I want to share is Singapore. Singapore has been able to completely digitally build out their whole digital twin that is leveraging real-time data. And what this is leading to is a very cohesive capability for urban planning and management. It is really helping them break down the data silos within different departments. And they're able to, with real-time data, understand traffic patterns and traffic flow. And they're leveraging that data analytics to really build a safer environment for their citizens. This digital twin project was a combination of collaboration between the government of Singapore with academic institutions, as well as technology organizations to really build out this platform. And in fact, a lot of governments that are honing on this technology, they're able to build out a lot of very unique capabilities. And then the final one that I'll just touch on quickly, many of you know about Estonia, but I wanted to just say that a week ago, Estonia just announced that they are now officially 100% digital. Up until a week ago, they were 99%, but they were able to put all of their government services completely online. I think the last remaining application was filing a divorce. So now you can just file for a divorce in the comfort of your living room. But again, that took collaboration, that took communities coming together and challenging each other to work together, breaking down those silos. And I'll tell you, it's one thing to have political will and the determination, but it also takes humility, right? I think a lot of the challenges that I see sometimes is not the lack of intellect or technology or political will. Sometimes it's just, egos, right? This was my project 10 years ago. It was deemed successful, and now I'm in a position to kind of say goodbye to it, right? And so there's that kind of affinity to the work that we've done. But I think the challenge for us all is to adopt a sense of humility to say what is needed today. Yes, I was a part of this exciting program last week or the year before, but what is needed today? What is needed for my constituents today? Because this might be the future of your constituents, right? This might be the people that you need to serve, and how are you going to serve if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to build services that are meaningful to them, right? That outfit in the bottom right corner was a version of the outfit that my daughter wanted. And many of you are asking, well, did you end up buying for her? Of course not. There's no way. But I'll leave you with this. There's a lot of ways to slice and dice this. I think the government of Trinidad and Tobago are on a very strong and positive and healthy trajectory. You have incredible leaders that get it, and they have already partnered with so many different members of the industry, and it's so very, very heartening to see how incredible the momentum is here. And I'm almost wishing I can just live here. Like I'm not going to go home. I'm going to just stay here and be a witness to all of this happening. But connected enterprise is another way that you can go about it. This is KPMG's way. And essentially what the concept is that There are 8 different capabilities that any organization need to think about and integrate in order for your digital transformation journey to be effective. Forrester Research, who's an industry analyst, has actually provided a lot of accolades and awards and recognition for KPMG's Connected Enterprise strategy. The Connected Enterprise strategy for government is essentially bringing to bear these 8 different things. And I won't drain this entire slide, but I'll just highlight a few. The first question is around insights and actions. Does your transformation agenda recognize your citizen as individuals, not just a number in your population database, but do you know who John Smith is that lives in this address and what their needs are? So do you recognize your citizen as an individual? The second question is around innovation. Does your approach apply to your citizens' personal circumstances? The third is around experience centricity by design. Does your solution personalize? Is it personalized and easy? Do your citizens have an enjoyable experience working with your platform? The fourth is around seamless interaction. Does your service allow citizens to choose the channel that suit their needs? I may not want to speak to somebody. Do you know that my kids don't want to talk to somebody on the phone? They think it's weird that my friends call me and we talk for hours on the phone because they're so comfortable with chatting over text. So does your government allow for that communication channel for your citizens? Is your solution responsive? There's a whole supply chain that you need to consider. Throwing technology at a problem is not the fix. Tech is easy. That's the easy part. The plumbing is the easy part. It's all the intricate layers that are connected around it that has to be solved for. The seventh is around digital-enabled tech architecture. A lot of the citizens' information needs to be kept safe. As you grow in your innovation journey, you have a lot more points to be concerned about. You have a lot more data that's now out in the internet that has to be protected. Hospitals in Canada, in the States, are being held hostage by cybersecurity threats, holding all of the patients' data and records hostage and not to be released until we pay those terrorists $15 million in Bitcoin, right? So there's a lot of that kind of bad actors that come with innovation. So you almost need to be prepared for that before you even go out in your journey. And the final is around the integrated partner and alliance ecosystem. You may have 10, 20, 30 different vendors, technology providers. Are they all coordinated and integrated? You might, without realizing, and this is what we found with the Government of Canada, they had so many different service providers that were providing similar things that there was so much waste. And so a part of the work that we did was around providing that program assurance, ensuring that they understand what's exactly in their contracts and extracting as much value out of those contracts and finding savings. So in conclusion, call to collaboration and action. This is an amazing forum where we have extraordinary possibilities from discussions that are going to happen today. Significant journey that you're all embarking on this digital transformation. And I believe that the success of this National Digital Transformation Strategy is really going to hinge on the collaboration that comes out of this room, the commitment to having those conversations and questioning the status quo and activating. It's one thing to gather all the feedback, but the next thing, as Minister Young said, it's about implementing those great ideas. It takes radical collaboration. We need radical commitment and radical collaboration across layers of government, departments, academia, and industry to come together to solve our biggest challenges. A lot of companies make the mistake of, investing in technology and thinking that that's going to be the solution to their problems, but that's just the beginning. And so thank you for giving me this opportunity. And There's a white paper that I was a part of writing called Foundational Agility. This is essentially kind of what I talked about today in a white paper. Feel free to download. We have our Future of IT report that comes out every year, as well as the Global Tech Survey that I shared a little bit about. And then that's my LinkedIn. Definitely look forward to continuing our conversation. Feel free to reach out. And thank you again for having me here.